Hey there, Chet Womack from freedogclass.com, and today I wanted to talk about untraining hyperness in your dog. And first of all, just let me say that some dogs have been bred for this, so if you got an Australian Shepherd that's hyper and it's living only in an apartment, that's really not this kind of video. That dog's supposed to be running around. It's been bred to run around and be hyper in its certain setting that would be appropriate. And so I'm not going to talk in this video about dogs being different than they really are. So if you specifically bred a dog for something, or you have a dog that's been bred for something, I'm not talking about undoing any type of that innate nature. What I am going to be talking about is dogs that get overly hyper when you every time you feed them, it just gets chaotic. Or every time the doorbell rings, it just blows up in your face. Or what about every time you start your car and you load up your car and the dog likes to go for card rides, and it just goes, buck wild, and it needs to get in the car, and maybe it doesn't even get that hyper, but it just wants to go in the car, get stuck there, and you can't get it out, and what do you do? Or what if you like to take your dog on a walk, and every time you grab the leash, the dog just gets so excited, or those sorts of things. And so before I get into how to fix those, let me ask you a question. If you have kids, are they more or less obedient on Christmas Eve? What about a return trip to Disneyland, right? You've taken your kids to Disneyland before and now they're coming back. How are they behaving that night before when they know they're leaving the next day? It's pretty bad if you have kids, or at least it's way, depending on how good your kids are, but it's always worse, right? The kids always, there's just too much energy that has no place to go, no outlet to go, and they don't know what to do with it, and they don't tend to listen well. It's just too much. They can't handle it. So I think that this is from too much anticipation. I think most people would agree. And this isn't about kids, but the reason that there's the bad behavior is that the energy has nowhere to go. And so in other videos I've talked about in the past, and some of the classes that I teach at freedogclass.com, we talk a lot about training alternative behaviors. And that is a way and a place for that energy to go. So we talk about how we've been able to train dogs. When the doorbell rings, a dog used to just get really excited because he knows that person is going to pet them, that person is going to reward them, it's going to be a fun experience. Interacting with them is self-rewarding. That's why it's something they like to do. And we teach them how to get that reward by doing something else first. And we do that by stopping the person from being able to react with them and instead rewarding them when they lay on a bed. And then laying on the bed is what they get excited to do when they see new people, instead of jumping, biting, scratching, clawing at the door. So that's training an alternative behavior. We're not going to talk specifically about how to do that here, but I wanted to let you know that exists and is a good strategy depending on your situation. But the one I'm going to talk about today is about bashing your dog's hopes. And I say this tongue-in-cheek. I'm not being mean here. We're not being mean to the dogs. But it's about making your dog realize, you know what? This isn't going to be fun. Maybe it's not going to be bad, but it's not going to be fun. It's just going to be totally neutral. So when the car starts and the kids load up, the dog has no hope whatsoever that it's going to get to go on a ride. When the doorbell rings, it has no anticipation whatsoever that it's going to get to interact with those people. And I want to talk about how you might want to consider doing that for and in ways around your house for a couple of different behaviors that really will make your dog less hyper. Because what usually happens is you've accidentally trained your dog or inadvertently trained your dog to be hyper by obeying a couple of things. Dogs self-reward often. So just interacting with a new person, for example, who comes up to your door is self-rewarding, and allowed to happen more just makes a dog more hyper and more excited. Constantly gets more excited about the postman. Constantly gets more excited about new people because they always pet him or her and those sorts of things. So they get hyper. I'm not talking about aggressive stuff here. I'm just saying super duper hyper, always jumping on people type of excited. So how you fix this is you have to stop the self-rewarding from happening. And it's not always self-rewarding, right? If you are, I've talked to a lot of my clients who, when they grab their leash, the dog loses it. Absolutely is way too excited to do anything and no longer has good obedience whatsoever. And so what a good way to fix this looks like is you stop doing the thing that your dog thinks is about to happen. So what does the dog want? If you're grabbing a leash, what does the dog want? He wants to go on a walk, right? Well, what if every 10 times you grabbed your leash, the dog didn't go on a walk? pretty soon it would realize that, grabbing the leash isn't something to get so excited about because it's not necessarily going to turn out to be this awesome experience. It's not bad, but what I'm talking about is you pick up the leash, you clip it on your dog 10 times a day, and you leave it on for a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And then you take it off and put it back, and then you put it back on, and you do that 10 times a day. Pretty soon the leash is not going to be a big deal. The same thing would happen, by the way, if you told your kids you're going to go to Disneyland and you never, ever went, except, every now and then. I don't know, twice in their life, right? While they're living at home, you went, and the rest of the time is like, no, we're not going to go. They just wouldn't believe you, right? And you see kids do this, kind of usually in bad parenting scenarios, but Daddy always makes promises that they're going to play catch, and pretty soon the kid realizes when Dad always breaks the promises that there's no catch that's going to be happening, and they lose the faith. That's kind of a negative deal, and I'm not talking about making the dogs aren't like kids, right? They forgive you approximately 5 seconds after something didn't go the way that they wanted. It's not like people, but it's a great way to stop your dog from getting excited. The same thing would be pick up a food bowl, fill it up, and put it down on the ground 10 times, and don't let your dog eat it, and then pick it back up. And only on the 11th time or whatever does the dog get the food. The dog realizes, you know what, this isn't what I thought. All these things I've been used to anticipating don't happen like I used to, and you will see the hyperness de-escalate in those particular situations. So those are the ways that you fix this. You either change the signals that happen before the thing the dog's getting excited about, with clipping on leashes or starting cars and then turning them off, starting cars, turning them off, realizing starting a car doesn't mean anything. Starting cars, backing up the driveway, come back, doesn't mean anything. Or you change reward. So the self-inflicted reward, if you want to call it that, or the inadvertent rewards. And so you don't let the dog touch people anymore. It needs to, put a little door chime on your driveway. I've got a long driveway, so the problem is people sneak up my driveway on me, and then the dog who's outside most of the time interacts with them, and I don't know what's going to happen. I could put a little one of those security chimes that lets people know someone's coming up my driveway. So I'm like, okay, I hear the chime. I can walk outside. I can clip up the dog, and the dog learns that it doesn't get to interact with that person. It just gets to be pet with me calmly when people come up to the house, and that's fine. And those sorts of things. Those are the ways that you can fix this. If you'd like more ideas like this, hey, check out some of my other videos, or you can go to freedogclass.com, where we offer free webinars about this type of stuff and strategies all the time. This is Chet Womack, signing off.